Alright, welcome back to another look at famous Yoopers. So today's look is at Anna Big Annie Klobuchar Clements. She was born to Mary and George in Calumet, Michigan on March 2nd, 1888. She was a prominent labor activist in the Upper Peninsula's copper country in the early 1900s, often leading marches while carrying an American flag. She was also notable for being 6 foot 2 inches tall, which is partly why she's called Big Annie, although another part of that might be for her occasional physical fights. About 5 months into a miners' strike, her women's auxiliary planned a Christmas party at the Italian Hall in Calumet, Michigan, which became a disaster after a false cry of fire led to a now infamous stampede, killing over 75 people, mostly children. Many still believe the incident was caused by an anti-union infiltrator at the party, a claim that seems bolstered by additional incidents such as the attempted murder of Western Federation of Miners president Charles Moyer, who was shot in the back and ran out of town in Hancock, Michigan, 12 miles from Calumet. And coincidentally, one of my uncles lived in the building where Moyer was shot, and he lived there for many years, and there is now a great local Mexican restaurant as part of the building. I say local because, obviously, if you live around here, you can eat there. And I happen to live pretty close to that building, as I live in Hancock right now. So it's kind of interesting to walk past this building knowing it was a part of a very strange historical event. But anyway, I digress. Clements led the funeral procession for the victims of the Italian Hall disaster, and also for the 2 men who died in a separate shooting known as the Seaberville murders. There were also the Dally Jane murders on December 7th, 1913. And here's another coincidence. My great-aunt Corinne lived in the house where the Dally Jane murders took place, and my grandma lived right next door, though it was not a regular topic of conversation growing up. It's still interesting to know that I spent a good chunk of my childhood living right next door to a murder house, as I visited my grandma pretty often as a kid, which is perfectly normal. Anyway, we're gonna get back to the strike. So what was all the fuss about? Big Annie's story also reminds us that her area was called the Copper Country for a reason. The very grade school she attended was run by the Calumet and Hecla Mining Company. Obviously, these companies could and most certainly would point to anything they did right as a means of undermining labor union activities that they viewed as cutting into their profits. They might say in so many words, hey, we built or even run a private school for you, and we pay you money, and we might even provide you housing on the land that we own, and, that we provide you all this stuff is better than you having nothing. So what's there to even whine about? That's basically what the mines would tell people. Well, strikers wanted workdays limited to 8 hours, a higher wage, and an end to using the one-man pneumatic drill. So what was their problem with the drill? It cut costs for the company and might get a job done faster, but it was less safe to have drilling as a one-man operation. The increase in mining accidents and fatalities led to the one-man pneumatic drill being called the Widowmaker. And contrary to what many, especially Republican types, might argue, someone like Anna Clements didn't likely become a rebel simply after being exposed to the politics of the time. I doubt she, picked up some Marxist book and said, aha, this tome has all the answers. Instead, it's likely that she was influenced into the labor movement because her father worked in the mining industry, and she no doubt saw the negative impacts of that kind of work, including people crippled in accidents or worse. going back to using my own family as an example, I know that one of my great uncles died in a mining accident. I believe he was electrocuted. So, yeah, it's hard to look at these things where people are very personally involved, and for me to just say, oh, they were just radicalized by communist slash socialist literature. Like, no, there's probably more going into it than that, in most cases. Okay, so I see no reason that couldn't have been a powerful impact on someone like Big Annie. It's not unlike how a battered housewife might have become a prohibitionist or something like that. You know, you deal with the problems either directly or loosely associated with human behavior and human decisions, and that might be a bigger motivator than some ideology. Of course, from the mind's perspective, she was involved in numerous problems and therefore would have been seen as a problem herself. Anna was an active member of the Western Federation of Miners in Calumet, but took up various mining-related causes throughout the Copper Country, and is an interesting figure of the Copper Country strike of 1913-1914. She also happens to be in the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame. So anyway, that's my quick look at Anna Big Annie Klobuchar Clements. Hopefully you found this informative. I know I kind of screwed up speaking at a few points, and that's because, I'm a fumbling, bumbling, stumbling person at times when I speak. But overall, I think there's something to be learned here. So I'll be making another video like this in the future, probably not too long from now, so be on the lookout for that, and have a good day.